I did my job. You know, people judged me by the way I did my job, but I protected my son and my artists. You know, I knew when to be the mother and I knew when to be the manager.
That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by.
Like, let's just be honest about Usher. Is he a victim or is he a cooperating agent?
So and you were 14 years old, right?
Actually, I was 13.
13.
This happened. Yeah, I was 13 and I went over.
Did you feel like that took away from your childhood at all?
No, actually, I was living every day.
Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Let Usher explain that to you. Let Usher mama explain that to you.
There was definitely an incident between Puff and Usher, one that eventually landed Usher in the hospital. Let Usher explain that. Or, better yet, let his mother explain it. Those parties Puff held, everyone who attended and participated thought there'd never be consequences. Let's be real. Usher got manipulated. The real question is, was he a victim or playing a role for the feds? Some newly leaked info might finally reveal why Usher has been completely silent regarding the Diddy case. And it turns out this goes deeper than many expected. At first, people assumed Usher was just staying out of trouble, but recent leaks suggest something more, that he might actually be protecting someone close to him, his own mother. According to the reports, federal investigators are looking into how Diddy gained guardianship over Usher at such a young age.
You're his mother. How did you make sure that people didn't take advantage of him? I was assertive.
Could this be the real reason Usher has chosen not to speak up? And what exactly was his mother's role? When asked how she ensured people didn't take advantage of Usher, she simply said, "I was a servant." After Terrence Howard recently spoke out with serious claims about Diddy, people have been revisiting old stories, especially the ones involving Usher's time living with Diddy during his teens.
Your manhood? I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
He even brought up Justin Bieber, who was around 14 or 15 when his team introduced him to Diddy, and implied that regardless of the situation, if Diddy did what's alleged, those boys gave up their manhood.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card.
The idea that someone loses their manhood because they were preyed on as a child is outrageous. That mindset is harmful. We can't let traumatic events define someone's worth or masculinity. Survivors deserve healing, therapy, and self-love. Don't let the darkness of one person decide your identity forever. You are more than your past. I reject the notion that a victim's identity is ruined for life.
Manhood has got to be reframed because even as a woman, I refuse to accept that because a grown man preyed on you as a child, as a little boy, that means for the rest of your life, you have no manhood. Like, is that not nonsense to anyone else? It's not fair. It actually enrages me. And we're supposed to accept that this happens to you as a child. And so that means that you get to walk around, or you have to, or you're indentured to walking around, not becoming a man, not being your full self, never being in alignment ever again with your soul. I'm sorry. No, you cannot accept that. That is so the work of the devil. You cannot accept that. Y'all have got to stop accepting that and love yourself and go to therapy and heal. Don't let the actions of some dark piece determine who you are forever. It's so wrong. And I know I'm not in their shoes, but I energetically reject that for y'all. Your manhood is more than that. You are more than that. And I energetically rebuke that on your behalf.
Usher had already gone through something as hinted by the hospital incident. And yet, he still brought Bieber into that circle. Some people even said the way Diddy was approaching Bieber seemed predatory. And yet, Usher stepped in, promised to protect him, then handed him over. Here's where things get even darker. New reports suggest that Usher is refusing to work with the feds because doing so might uncover uncomfortable truths, like the claim that his mother, Janetta Patton, signed over his guardianship when he was still very young. It's also alleged she may have turned a blind eye to some of the troubling things that happened at Flavor Camp.
If a victim comes out...
Since the allegations against Diddy surfaced, Usher has stayed completely silent. The closest he got to addressing anything was in a podcast interview with Keke Palmer, where he hinted that his first kiss wasn't consensual. But Keke picked up on the moment and quickly changed the subject. That clip went viral and reignited the conversation around Usher, Diddy, and what really happened behind closed doors. Now, people are asking the tough questions. Where were Usher's parents through all this? His father wasn't in the picture, but rumors have swirled for years that Janetta knew more than she let on and stayed quiet. At that time, Usher was chasing a record deal, and Janetta was allegedly fixated on making him a star. She described herself as someone who made the magic happen, focused on perfecting everything. When asked about her parenting style, she claimed to be both liberal and strict, saying her kids could always come to her with anything. She said she encouraged open conversations and wanted them to feel safe expressing themselves. She even admitted she was more open than her own parents, who emphasized character but didn't allow for emotional openness. She claimed she listened and guided, but ultimately left decisions to her sons. She wanted them to confide in her rather than strangers. But now, with all the disturbing things said about Flavor Camp, her words feel different. Because if Usher did confide in her, and she still allowed things to continue, it brings her role into question. And when asked how she protected Usher during those early years in the industry, she hesitated before saying she had done her research.